So today I want to build a canal from my starter home here to the west, which I'll show you on the map. So we've got a couple of villages over here in a savanna biome. It's approximately 500 blocks across, so I want to build a canal from here to go that way, so I can just chuck my boat on and paddle straight across without having to try and navigate. So we've got a bit of dry land to go through, a bit of sand to go through here. If I select one of them and go to Toolkit and then choose 5 and then Water Canal 3, you'll see we've got a couple of options. We can either use 2 turtles in the positions I've got them, which will be in the centre of the canal, or we can use 4 going right the way across. Now this is more important if you are on land. It will then make sure that they create those areas as efficiently as possible, but I think we can stick with these double ones. So we're going to do half a canal per turtle, which is the first option here. You'll notice that there's water behind it, so one thing we do need to do is to make sure we've got water sources behind, and preferably double water sources. So I'm going to move these forward by 3 blocks. So we'll quit this one, go forward 3, same with this one, forward 3. Now they're sitting above the water sources and we can start making the canal from either side. So let's start with this one. So canal, bridge and walkway, water canal. So we're using this top option with water sources behind us, and the canal will be built from there. So we've got to choose whether we want option 1 for the half canal per turtle or option 2 for a quarter canal per turtle. We've only got 2, so we're going to use option 1. Now this is the plan view of the turtle, so we can choose the position of either in the water or on the water already, or on the towpath to either side, and you can see they're colour coded. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on ground, or 5, 6 in water. So we've got 5 or 6 here is our position. So a new canal we would use 1, 2, 3, 4 on the ground, or to extend an existing we'd use 1, 4, 5, 6, or extend on an ocean 1, 4 on solid blocks. So we've got plenty of options here. So I think what we'll do is we'll choose 5 and 6, but as you'll notice these are actually in the water, which mine are not. They're on top of it. So I will just correct that. And we'll go down 1. Oops, down 1. And the same here. Now we can go back and we can do this properly. So you can see how it's quite tricky to get the position just right. So we'll do 5 again. 3. Going to choose option 1, and we're going to use position 5. So position 5 is where we are. Torch spacing, I think we'll put that at 16. Turtle placed left on canal base, which is correct. Let's put 500 for the length. And then of course it wants plenty of stone, so that'll do. And then we'll leave it at that. And then 2 water buckets. And 31 torch. There we go, that's ready to go. So it was just checking to make sure it had a water source behind it and in front of it. So this is just creating the water source. And now it's continuing as it did. So we'll set the other one up in the meantime. So again, choosing method 1, And this time we're on position 6, which is on the right side. Now 0 torches, and then we'll put 500 again. And again it wants a fairly hefty bunch of stone. We'll just put what we've got in for the time being. Enter 2 water buckets. And that's it. Now we don't need the water buckets at the moment because we're in water, but when it goes onto dry land we'll see what happens. So, and you'll see over here it's now come across the land. And it's preparing the canal side here. The reason it blocks the canal here is that it makes sure that the water sources, when crossing over a ravine, are not lost down into the ravine, because you've got a block kind of holding it up. So this one is rapidly following. As you can see, it's put the first torch in there. And the reason we need 2 turtles working in tandem is that if you watch how they are working, the turtle in the lead is beginning to deplete the water sources, and it's only got 2 buckets. So if that were to go piling on ahead, it will get to the point where it would empty out its buckets behind it, but this one hasn't caught up, so the water sources are not switching from side to side, and it would run out of water sources. At that point what it does is it sits and waits, and every 30 seconds, I believe it is, it checks to see if there is any water source ahead of it. And once there is a water source ahead of it, then it resumes its activity. So it will wait for the partner to come and dispense its water before continuing if it runs out. So that's why you need to have a minimum of 2 working in tandem. So you'll notice that now they're in the open ocean, they don't rise up and down and start checking the sidewalls as they did round here. They just simply place a block and move on. Now, this behaviour of being able to go through the water without deleting blocks has only been around since 1.12.2, I believe. Prior to that, if you use this method, the turtles would delete the water blocks as they went through. So there is a method of checking which version you're running on before the routine is launched, and there is a legacy version which will kick in and do this in a different matter. But this will now continue until it's finished its 500 blocks. It will of course break through here again, so I might just catch that just so you can see how it works. Notice the placing of the torch there. So because of that placing of the torch, this one tends to lag behind, which isn't a problem until they reach dry land. Right, so we've reached the end of the canal here, which is a good guess. as to the direction. So we've used up pretty much all of the stone, and I've built a boat whilst I was on the canal. So home's back that way, 511 blocks. So here we are, there's a village just over there, and there's another one just over the hill here. So I think what might be convenient would be to extend the canal in that direction to meet up with the village, and we can demonstrate using the 4 turtles, just so you can see what happens there. So we're going to extend the canal to the left of that village using all 4 turtles. So you'll notice I've already placed them in line. I put this one on the existing corner, and these are floating over the water. I've set them all up ready to go. So this one has been placed left on the ground, and it's waiting for the canal length, which I haven't yet put in. This one is turtle placed left above canal, and again waiting for the length. This one is turtle placed left above canal. That should be right, shouldn't it? Because it's above the canal. I shall fix that. And finally, this one I haven't done yet. So we're choosing method 2, where we're using a 1/4 canal per turtle. So we're using the 4 of them here. And this one's position is position 4, which is this one here. Torch spacing 0, and turtle placed right on ground. So the only one that's got a minor error is that one, which I shall sort shortly. So they're all ready to go. They're just asking how long we should do it. So again, just cheating and using my map here. We're currently at -91. We want to go to there, which is 46, 47. So I don't want to crash into the house. So let's call it 45. No, let's call it 50 altogether. So we'll put 50 in here. It's obviously asking for some more stone, so we'll do the same here. Again, more stone. I want to try, if I can, to get them running continuously. Now you can see that what's happening is that all these 2 are doing is scooting along the water and checking that we've got an edge. So in fact they are at this stage a bit of a waste of time, but that's only because we're crossing existing water. Had we been on land, these 2 would have been the main ones, because they would have been laying the groundwork and placing all the buckets, whereas these would have just been laying these edges. So it's you don't really need them, 4 of them. You could easily have managed just with the 2, as we did on the first leg up there. Like this one, what we'll do is we'll move it back to where we are now, and we'll use this as a measuring tool to find out how far we've got to go there. So we're going to measure the length, and we'll put that up, and then we're going to look for an obstruction ahead. So that will be the building there. Let's say 60, let's put 128 blocks before we abort. That will now tell us how far ahead we're going. Okay, 47 blocks. So if we make it 45, I think we should be fine for these, so we'll get those set up. So we're in position 5 this time in the water. 16 I think for the torches, and 45. I don't think we need to bother with the stone. Water canal, so 1, and position 6. Torch spacing 0, and 45. And we won't bother with the stone either. I can put this one forward 50 because it won't crash into the building. When it does, it will stop. So it's quite safe to send that on its way. And there we are. All done. A little bit of minor hand repairing, and we're all sorted.